I'm Max, and today I want to share my journey of learning English. This story is about how I went from knowing nothing about the language to becoming fluent and confident in it. It's a story of challenges, determination, and eventually, success. Let me start at the beginning. My first encounter with English was through the television. I remember watching shows and movies with characters speaking in a language I couldn't understand. They seemed to be having such a good time, laughing, talking, and interacting. I wanted to be a part of that world, but I felt completely left out. The sounds were unfamiliar, and the words seemed like a jigsaw puzzle I couldn't piece together. In school, English was a subject just like math or science. Our teacher would introduce new words and phrases, and we were expected to memorize them. I struggled with this. The words on the board and the sentences spoken by the teacher felt like a foreign code. While my classmates seemed to pick it up quickly, I found myself falling behind. One day, I decided that I wanted to change my situation. I wanted to understand what people were saying, read books, and be able to communicate in English. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined. I started with small, manageable steps. I listened to English songs and tried to sing along, even though I didn't always get the words right. I watched movies with English subtitles and repeated lines after the actors. It was a start, but it was far from perfect. I felt frustrated at times. There were days when it seemed like I wasn't making any progress. But I didn't let that stop me. I knew that if I wanted to improve, I needed to practice regularly. I started speaking in English whenever I could, even if it was just with myself. I practiced speaking in front of a mirror, trying to get my pronunciation right. I recorded myself speaking and listened to the recordings to identify areas where I needed to improve. It was a slow process, but little by little, I started to notice changes. One of my first major breakthroughs came when I had a conversation in English with a friend. It was a simple chat about our favorite foods and hobbies, but it was a significant milestone for me. I was nervous, but as we talked, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I realized that I was able to communicate and understand more than I thought. As I continued to practice, I began to seek more opportunities to use English in my daily life. I started reading books in English, beginning with children's stories and gradually moving on to more complex novels. I kept a journal in English to practice writing and improve my grammar. I joined a language club where I could practice with others who were also learning English. These activities were not only helpful but also made learning enjoyable. One of the most transformative experiences was when I decided to enroll in an English course at a local language institute. The classes were intensive and required a lot of commitment. We were encouraged to speak only in English during class, which was challenging but incredibly effective. The teacher was strict but supportive, and I appreciated the structure and feedback. There were days when I felt overwhelmed by the amount of new vocabulary and grammar rules, but I kept pushing through. In addition to formal classes, I participated in language exchange programs. These programs paired me with native English speakers who were learning my native language. We would spend part of our meetings speaking in English and part in my language. This exchange was incredibly valuable. It gave me the opportunity to practice speaking in a real-world context and learn about different cultures. One of the most memorable experiences was when I traveled to an English-speaking country for the first time. I spent 2 weeks in the UK for a language immersion program, living with a host family, attending classes during the day, and exploring the city in the evenings was a life-changing experience. I had to use English in every aspect of my daily life, from ordering food in restaurants to asking for directions on the street. This immersion helped me overcome many of my fears and boosted my confidence. I realized that I could communicate effectively and comfortably in English. When I returned home, I continued to practice English regularly. I joined online forums and discussion groups where I could interact with people from around the world. I started writing a blog in English about my experiences and interests. This not only helped me refine my grammar and vocabulary, but also allowed me to connect with others who shared my passions. As my English skills improved, I began to see the practical benefits. I was able to access a wealth of information on the internet that had previously been out of reach. I read articles, watched documentaries, and followed international news. This expanded my knowledge and gave me a broader perspective on global issues. Learning English also had a significant impact on my career. I applied for a job at a multinational company where English was the primary language of communication. During the interview, I was able to confidently discuss my qualifications and experiences in English. I got the job, and my ability to speak English has been crucial to my professional growth. It has allowed me to work on international projects, travel for business, and collaborate with colleagues from different countries. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. Learning English opened up new opportunities for me. I made friends from different countries, traveled to new places, and advanced in my career. The journey was long and challenging, but it was worth every effort. To anyone who is currently learning English, I want to say, don't give up. It's a journey that requires patience and perseverance. Take it one step at a time, practice regularly, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. If I could achieve this, so can you. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires and motivates you on your own journey to learning English. Keep practicing, stay positive, and remember that every step forward brings you closer to your goal. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.